All right, guys, today I'm talking about dark vanilla fragrances. As you know, vanilla is one of my favorite notes. I absolutely love it. Next to patchouli, it's my second favorite note. I love it in fragrances, and you guys think I love gourmands, specifically only gourmands. But you know what? When I look at my favorite fragrances, I generally tend to like vanilla with a lot of spices or something that really contrasts. So I've got a great collection of 36 dark vanilla fragrances here, and I've got them broken down into various categories, and we're gonna go over them in a deep dive video format, but we don't have like 100 fragrances today. As I said, I've got 36 fragrances that I'm talking about. Before I get started with the list, do let me know if you have a favorite dark vanilla fragrance. Add a comment in the comments and let me know what you enjoy. And generally tell me, what do you like about vanilla fragrances? And don't get me wrong, I do love them cakey, buttery, creamy, vanillic gourmands that are like cookies and cakes and caramel and things like that. But I think my preference is for spices, leather that are contrasted with the vanilla and not making them super gourmand, if that makes sense. And I still consider these gourmand leaning, but they're not like your super duper gourmands that are very, very popular to this day. So we're gonna get started with the first category. This is the core, the benchmark of true dark vanilla fragrances. And I'm gonna start with a staple here that I feel like is one of the best examples of dark vanilla. This is Tobacco Vanille from the house of Tom Ford. You've heard me talk about this many times. It's got a lot of great spicy notes. There are, it's the vanilla with the tobacco. It's a bit smoky and ashy. There are resins here in the base. There's also warm spices. So I feel like this comes off a bit holiday spice-like. And there's some fruity touches, zingy spices, just an overall really awesome fragrance from the house of Tom Ford in the Private Blend collection. Definitely one of my favorites from the Private Blend, and it's a fragrance that I've loved and enjoyed ever since I bought my first bottle. And to this day, I do recommend it. I think it's a great DNA that Tom Ford and the perfumers behind it came up with. And it's lingered around for 20 plus years since it, well, I think it's been just around 20 years since its launch. And I think it's still going pretty strong. I'm hoping that they'd launch some kind of a flanker of this one, but I feel like it's potent enough that they don't need it. But I can totally see Tom Ford doing something like a Parfum edition or something, because they've done a lot with their other fragrances. But either way, I feel like this is one of the true dark vanilla fragrances. If you love vanilla at all, you like it spicy, tobacco-ish, definitely check out Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille. I feel like it's one of the best. So let's move on to the house of Serge Lutens. This is Amouage Vanille. So this is also another dark vanilla. And again, it's not gourmand. To me, this does not come off gourmand whatsoever. It's a kind of a woody, spicy take on the vanilla. And even though you've got the sweetness of the vanilla there, you're getting a lot of spices and you're getting a lot of woods with it as well. There's definitely a creamy consistency, but it doesn't act like a super gourmand fragrance, like with a lot of caramel, smelling like cookies and cakes and things like that. It's just a nice contrast of a very spicy, somewhat boozy vanilla with a lot of woods, and maybe some light ambery touches in the base as well. I think this is a grown-up vanilla, not like a young, girly vanilla. Same thing with the Tobacco Vanille. And again, this section is the core, the benchmark, the main dark, the true dark vanilla fragrances. So this is Serge Lutens Amouage Vanille. Let me know if you're familiar with that and if you enjoy it. Up next is Atelier Materi's Vanille Carbone. Let me know if you're familiar with this one. Vanille Carbone launched last year, and it's also created by the same perfumer that did Tom Ford's Vanilla Sex. So different, night and day different. This is kind of smoky, leathery, greasy, like bringing out the leathery touches of the vanilla bean, because when you smell the vanilla bean, it doesn't smell like what you're typically used to when you're smelling vanilla. There's definitely leathery accents, but there are some light boozy touches here. Once again, it's not like a gourmand. Like this is not a like super delicious cakey, you know, buttery, rich, milky kind of thing. You might get those kind of creamy effects happening, but you're definitely getting smoke, leather, rubber, lots of darkness. So I feel like it's totally a true dark vanilla fragrance, Vanille Carbone. Let me know your thoughts on this one. If you like it to be dark, if you don't like it super gourmand, and you want the idea of vanillas, definitely try these fragrances. And again, I've got various categories for them. And right now we're dealing with the true dark vanilla fragrances, but we're going to the house of Diaz and Durga. This is Deep Dark Vanilla. This one's a polarizing fragrance, honestly, guys. I don't know if I like this one. It's been a while since I've smelled it too, so let me get my thoughts together. It's not as bad as it was. I remember this fragrance having a really prominent patchouli note, but there's something that irritates me when I smell it. And you know me, I love patchouli, and a patchouli vanilla combo, my top two notes together. But this one did bother me. I feel like what has happened since I bought it, the first time I spoke about it, it has gotten smoother. And I feel like there's a little bit of the touch of Vanille Carbone in here, something kind of rubbery, leathery. But once you get past that, that part is the part that kind of rubs me the wrong way. Behind that, it's kind of green patchouli and a lot of vanilla. So there is some sexiness there with that, combining the vanilla and patchouli together. But along the way, the smokiness, kind of rubbery, leathery, plastic vinyl-y kind of thing that's going on in there kind of triggers me a little bit. But I feel like it's kind of macerated to smell a little better now, and I'm kind of enjoying it a little bit more. And the patchouli accent is like really much more pronounced this time around. But you know, as the name suggests, it's a dark vanilla. Let me know your thoughts if you're a fan of that one from the house of Diaz and Durga. Up next, we're going to the house of Initio. Where do I have that one? Here it is. This is Absolute Aphrodisiac. This is actually castoreum forward, so it's animalic and leathery. And in the old days, they used castoreum, the beaver, to create the leather accord in fragrances. And so even though you're thinking you're going with something super edible and delicious, like leather pops through, some funk pops through, becomes animalic, and it kind of balances out the fragrance. It doesn't go super sugary, vanillic. You've got a little bit more like darker, substantial notes to kind of make the fragrance go in a different direction rather than full-on vanilla bomb. It's super sexy, I think. But, you know, when you separate the dark side, the animalic, dark, leathery side, it's super delicious. It's like literally a delicious vanilla. And there's also the idea of, they've used castoreum in vanilla ice cream. I don't know if any of you guys know this. Look it up. Just type in castoreum vanilla ice cream. So I wonder if that was the idea to create this fragrance. But I do quite enjoy this one. It's a nice one. It's a bit of a sleeper for the brand, though. But if you like a slight bit leathery, kind of animalic, musky vanilla, definitely try Initio's Absolute Aphrodisiac. Great name too. Now with the vanilla in there, there are some slight boozy touches as well. And usually I get that with vanilla in general in a lot of vanilla fragrances. Up next, going to the house of Amouage, it's Material. Material is Cécile Zarokian's amber vanilla fragrance, but since it does lean spicy and resinous, I've featured it here, and I could have featured this in the more amber category of vanilla fragrances as well. But I felt like this is one of the core, the true dark vanilla fragrances, so I'm featuring it here. There's another fragrance here that the same perfumer has created. It's a Vanilla Edesia from the house of Electimus. We'll get to that in a little bit. It's in a different category. But I feel like this is probably one of the best that Cécile has done. Actually, I have another one here from Cécile too. She's got 3. I think she's the perfumer with the most fragrances here. But yeah, it's mostly like a very dark, smoky resins, amber with the vanilla. So you're actually experiencing a amber vanilla fragrance that goes dark, smoky, somewhat leathery. But it's quite delicious. That is Material from the house of Amouage. Let me know if you're familiar with that one. Up next, going to the house of imaginary authors. It's Memoirs of a Trespasser. Are you guys familiar with this? Now, this is a very dark, woody, resinous take on vanilla. And this has been a cult favorite. It might be one of the most popular from the house. With this one, you really notice the gaiac. It's very prominent with the gaiac wood. For me, it's interesting. Gaiac wood smells like a little bit of a combo of pencil shavings, creamy woods, and slight smokiness. So that's the thing I get with gaiac wood in fragrances. And you have all those, ideas in the fragrance, but eventually it gets quite resinous because there's benzoin here. So it's combining the vanilla with these resinous, ambery notes. And of course, the gaiac is pretty much the star with the vanilla that's in here. As you can see, the notes break down. So oak barrels. So they're talking about something kind of boozy, but still woody. And it's all resins, as you can see. Myrrh. There's also the ambrette, which is kind of musky. But this has been probably one of the best from this house. And truly an awesome scent from the Imaginary Authors collection. Again, it's not a gourmand. Like, you have gourmand notes in there, like the vanilla is super gourmand, but it's meshed with the woods and the resins. So it's ambery, woody, and musky. But when you smell it, you do really experience that kind of like a gum resin texture. You really notice it with an overdose of the gaiac wood and the vanilla. So next, we're going to the house of BDK. It's Vanille Leather. And this has become a favorite fragrance of mine from this house. I really love this. It's created by Dominic Ropion. Dominic Ropion did a great job with combining the vanilla and leather. And even though he's known for Babycat, which I have here, and also Vanagloria, this does not smell like it. Thankfully, it's not similar. To me, this is more like a vintage leather with an overdose of vanilla. Because it's got a very violet forward smell to it. So combining violets with leather has been done before, obviously, Fahrenheit. And you really notice it here. So it's a really nice combo of the leather, which is kind of soft and, smooth. It's more like a suede leather with the vanilla and the violets together. Actually really awesome. Totally vintage vibes for me. That's what I like about it. Slight booziness, not quite, but definitely spicy also. Let me know if you're familiar with Vanille Leather from the house of BDK. And then up next, we're going to the house of Nuit Nomade. This is Estrella de la Mañana. This is the fragrance that kind of got me thinking, okay, I think it's time people are doing vanilla fragrances, not quite gourmand leaning. Because when I smelled this one, I was like, this is not gourmand. This is smoke and leather. And there's gourmand notes in it. There's like chocolatey notes. There's, of course, the vanilla. There might even be amber. But this has like birch, so it creates a leathery smokiness and woodiness. So in the end, it's super strong with the smokiness, really intense. If you're at all familiar with birch featured in Aventus, of course, that's what everybody talks about, the batch codes. Kind of get an idea, but they've really amplified the birch in this. So it generally creates a smokiness, leathery touches. Campfire comes to mind. But just imagine mixing those up with the vanilla, the chocolate that's in here, and some resinous touches, because it does have a bit of an ambery effect. Super awesome. Great gourmand, but not a gourmand. It's not really a gourmand. It's more of a dark vanilla. So that's Estrella de la Mañana from the house of Nuit Nomade. Up next, we've got Dark Vanilla from Montal, actually. This is a dark vanilla. I think I have a full review of this one on the channel, by the way. So this is Montal's Dark Vanilla. I mean, you honestly have Montal DNA in here. Bit of rosy, very woody, maybe even perhaps oudi. and this sweetened up by vanilla. But what's going on here is all of the notes that they've used in here are quite dark, and the vanilla's sweetness can't handle it. Yes, you have sweetness there by the vanilla, but it's a bit overshadowed with the other more darker kind of notes. So there's the signature menthol smell in here, totally. If you like that DNA, this is something you should try if you like the idea of a dark vanilla. Rosy, oudy, saffrony, it's all there. I could totally smell it. Like, it reminds me a little bit of Intense Cafe, but it's much darker notes, slightly smoky, leathery. So that is dark vanilla from the house of Menthol. Let me know if you're familiar with this one. And then I'm actually going to throw this in here. I don't consider it some of the darkest vanilla fragrances, but I feel like it has dark touches. I'm ending this category with this fragrance, one of the best vanilla fragrances on the market. It's Spirituous Double Vanille. So I think it's spicy enough, boozy enough to give it the darker characteristic. But I wouldn't personally call it a super dark vanilla. But there are resins here. There are woods here, boozy touches. I mean, it's definitely one of my favorite vanilla fragrances if I want something to remind me of vanilla that's used in baking. I actually just recently bought a bottle of vanilla because I made some dessert the other day. Turned out so delicious because I used like 2 tablespoons of vanilla in it. And this totally reminds me of the vanilla that's used in cooking. It's just kind of acting like that, you know, boozy, but, you know, dark and smoky, because I think they brought out the kind of dark, leathery, smoky touches of the vanilla bean, which basically what the vanilla of fragrance is created with, the idea of the vanilla bean. They've sweetened it up pretty much. But that's Spirituous Double Vanille. And I know it's not the super darkest vanilla, but I wanted to feature it here as well. So that's the first category, the true dark vanilla category. So now we've got a bit of a category called the Dark Gourmand, featuring kind of notes like boozy, coffee, chocolate, of course with the vanilla. And we're getting started with Blender Graffy's Vanilla Mudslide. So just an FYI, some new bottles I think are on their way. So if you guys are on the market, I'll announce it here on the channel. So this is the idea of a mudslide come to life with vanilla. But it's so super potent. It's also a bit almondy, nutty. It's got the vodka for the mudslide effect, but it's super spicy and musky as well. But once again, it's dark and sticky and resinous, so it's not full of gourmand notes, but there's gourmand notes here. But it wears so strong, so intense, so super sexy. Again, one of my favorite vanilla fragrances as of late. I announced that the fragrance was selling again, and it would sell out right away. Like 35, 40 bottles would be delivered, and the bottles would be sold out. So stay tuned for that. I'll announce it, but this is definitely a really awesome dark gourmand take on vanilla. It's been a favorite fragrance of mine, and if you're a vanilla fan at all, you must get your nose on this. We even had multiple drops of the kit that was featured in. We sold out. It's completely sold out, and I don't think I can bring any more to do additional kits unless somehow we uncover some boxes that were created. But that is awesome. Check it out. Let's move on to Sarah Baker's Velvet Vendetta. It's a darker take on vanilla, but a bit more gourmand leaning. Have you guys gotten your nose on this one? Once again, there's a sexy touch about it. There's a slight animalic touch about it. And this is also another reason why I kind of take these into a little bit more of a darker category. But there's gourmand notes along the way with this one as well. Great lingering power, super awesome scent. I think the connection with Sarah and Margot Lepage-Gorin, who created this fragrance, I think they've done a great job. And then she's got another one, which I also have here, that's just launching. But let me know if you've gotten your nose on this one. The DNA is quite sexy, I think. It wears great on skin. It's kind of gourmand, but not quite. There's some sweet notes, but there's darker notes, smoky notes. I think this one has gunpowder. It's got musky touches. Really great scent, I think. That is Velvet Vendetta from Sarah Baker. And then let's talk about Vava Vanilla. You guys got your nose on this one? This one is a bit more gourmand than Velvet Vendetta. But still, it's not your traditional gourmand, I think. It acts differently. And it's kind of like part of a trilogy of vanilla fragrances from Sarah Baker. This one kind of does get a bit more gourmand. It's a bit boozy. I think the previous one, the Velvet Vendetta was also a bit boozy, but I feel like this one gets a bit more boozy. And there's some other gourmandesque notes in here, but I feel like also it's quite musky once again. I think both of the fragrances are musky. This one does go like slight bit more gourmand, which is also super delicious. But at least to me, they're on the dark side. They're not quite fluffy, caramelly, sweet, gourmand vanilla fragrances. So that is Vava Vanilla, the latest from the house of Sarah Baker. Let me know your thoughts on that one. Up next, going to the house of M. Micallef. This is Secrets of Love Gourmet. I've got the wrong one. All right, Secrets of Love Gourmet. So if you like the idea of By the Fireplace, but more vanilla, more chestnut, and a lot more smoke, this is the one for you to try. Like, people tell me that, By the Fireplace is so smoky. I'm like, really? That's smoky, but it's not that smoky. This is that similar idea, but overdosed with the smokiness. And I feel like if you've ever consumed or had roasted chestnuts, you really get the smell of it here in this fragrance. You've got the charred, smoky shell of the chestnut with the nuts inside captured here with the vanilla. But it's super dark, very smoky, perhaps bordering leathery as well. And it's not as gourmand, I think, as By the Fireplace is. But is By the Fireplace a true gourmand? Kind of, sort of. But if you like that idea, I highly recommend you try Secrets of Love Gourmet by M. Micallef. Just keep in mind, though, it is very, very smoky. Super, super smoky. It's a bit challenging to wear it with all that smoke, by the way. But the next fragrance going to the house of Born to Stand Out, it's Sin Pleasure. Another dark gourmand style fragrance, but this time from the house of Born to Stand Out. This has a lot of dark notes with the vanilla. There's some earthy notes, some boozy notes. Just a really wonderful creation from the house that's also very, very sexy the way it wears. It's long-lasting, even though they write eau de parfum. This has, grown on me quite a bit. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Deep Dark Vanilla because it has a bit of a patchouli presence. Deep Dark Vanilla is DS and Durga's, but it's created by a different perfumer, so their DNA is completely different. But I find this one to be a bit more sexier and a bit more balanced, whereas the Deep Dark Vanilla does bother me a little bit because there is that kind of trigger note that kind of bothers me, but I find Sin Pleasure to be quite wonderful. And again, it's grown on me more and more, and I've been enjoying it more and more. Let me know if you're familiar with Sin Pleasure. Add a comment below. So up next, it is Tiziana Terenzi's Dionisio. You guys familiar with this one? So they do, I believe that he updates this fragrance quite often, and it depends on the version you have. The version I have does get animalic, so there's that, but it's chock full of gourmand notes. It's a bit boozy. It's a bit like Vanille Antique as well, but less boozy, less creamy, more dark, more dusty, woody, and the idea of the animalic notes. So there have been versions where he's amped up the animalic notes further. This is the 2019 edition. Still smells great today. It kind of reminds me, the animalic notes kind of reminds me a little bit of Absolute Aphrodisiac as well. But if you like a challenging take on vanilla, try Dionisio from Tiziana Terenzi. It's good. I think it's super sexy. There's booziness for sure with the vanilla. But this is not syrupy whatsoever. It's super dry. Dry, woody, dusty, and animalic. So that is Dionisio from the house of Tiziana Terenzi. And then we've got, where are we going? Here. No, here. Maison Tahite's Vanille de Nuit. For a leathery take on vanilla. See, yeah. So it's kind of leathery, but super creamy gourmand. The leather is there just to kind of like tone down the sweet gourmand touches of the vanilla, the booziness. It's there to kind of like challenge you a little bit. It's not animalic, it's just leather. Like if you're familiar with leather, like ombre leather or Tuscan leather, you'll be kind of familiar with this. But I feel like the vanilla in here, which is kind of syrupy and ambery, to be a nice complement with the leather. There's boozy touches along the way, some additional gourmand sweetness. But I feel like the leathery touches, there's saffron, most likely the spices, are working wonderfully with the all the gourmand notes in the vanilla that are in here. So I think there's caramelly touches, maybe perhaps some cocoa and things like that. Dark take on a vanilla for sure. Vanille de Nuit, let me know what your thoughts are on that one. And then I'm going to end this list with by Kilian's Black Phantom for something that's super boozy, chocolatey, coffee take on vanilla. This was very popular for a while. I'm not sure how popular it is now. I still like the smell, and it always reminds me of Irish coffee over at the Buena Vista in San Francisco near the Fisherman's Wharf. If you've ever come here and you like the idea of drinking an Irish coffee with whiskey, like a creamy milkiness, definitely go there, especially if you like Black Phantom, because it smells like what I drink when I go there. So also, I should say, this is dark. I wouldn't say it's as dark, just like the Spirituous Double Vanille, but definitely amplifies a lot more gourmand notes here with some darker elements. And then there's also a little bit of a nutty effect happening here as well with the Black Phantom. So it's just an overall really delicious gourmand with darker elements. So that's the category of dark gourmand vanilla fragrances with boozy notes, coffee, chocolate, and things like that. Up next, going to the musky, amber, and resin-driven dark vanilla fragrances. And I'm starting off with a fragrance that I've spoken about quite a bit. I featured it in one of the videos I spoke about that I discovered great deals online, and this is Gritti Muscaria. I bought this for about $160. It's like over $300 suggested retail price. I can't get enough of the way it smells. Sure, it's musky. Sure, it's vanillic, but it's an amber musky fragrance with an overdose of vanilla. So it's sweet, it's spicy, it's a little boozy, musky for sure, spices for sure, and a lot of resins and amber. It's so good. If you can get a bottle for that price, get it. I'll tag all the fragrances here, and I'll tag the least expensive prices I can find. Hopefully the discounters still have this for about $160 because it is over $300 suggested retail, and it's an extrait de parfum, so it's really, really long lasting. The other thing I should say about that, if you know Musk Ravageur, because it does smell a bit like Musk Ravageur, but if you like the idea of a darker, more resinous, bit smoky take, maybe even leathery take on Musk Ravageur, that's another reason why it's a good idea to try Muscaria by Gritti. It's so good. Really, really wonderful. Next, it's Electimus London's Vanilla Edesia, also created by Cécile Zerokian. This was never one of my favorite vanilla fragrances, unfortunately, and it's been a while since I got my nose on it. I'll tell you what I think about it now. And I do enjoy Cécile's creations. I don't know, something about this was just way off for me. Yeah, it's for me, this is like a musky, ambery, spice-driven vanilla. Like, it overtakes the vanilla all over, like, just totally takes it over. Still not my favorite, unfortunately, but really a dark take on a vanilla, especially it's called Vanilla Edesia. And so you need to get your nose on it if you like the idea of it. But as I said, it's kind of musky, ambery, resin-driven, spicy, overdosed vanilla. Even I'm getting leathery touches in this as well. Let me know if you're a fan of Vanilla Edesia. Still not working for me, unfortunately. But this next fragrance we featured in a mystery box, I really think it's so super delicious. From the house of Laurent Mazzone. It's called Fil d'Or No. 1. It's a darker, resinous, ambery take on vanilla, maybe with some musky notes as well. Did you guys like the sample of that one? Let me know. Add a comment what your thoughts are. It is a pricey fragrance, unfortunately, but it's done really, really wonderfully. Ah, it's good. Really, really wonderful. Super intense, sweet vanilla, but resins and musky notes and amber and vanilla together. Very enveloping and comforting, even though it's kind of a darker take on a vanilla. That is really, really delicious. The only negative about this fragrance is the price tag, because it's a pricey fragrance. But it's sexy. Super, super sexy. Either way, let me know what your thoughts are on Fil d'Or No. 1. Have you gotten your nose? Well, yeah, if you bought the mystery box, you would have gotten your nose on it. If you did, what are your thoughts? What did you think? Did you enjoy wearing that sample? But either way, that's Fil d'Or No. 1 by Laurent Mazzone. And we've got two fragrances back to back from the same house. Original version and the extract. It's from the house of Atelier des Ordes. It says Lune Feline. I think this is definitely a musky, amber balsamic take on vanilla, which takes it to a darker kind of medicinal direction. It's definitely one of my favorites. It's the first fragrance I bought from the house in January of 2015 when I first discovered it in Javois in Paris. They had just put out the brand, like brand spanking new. So I instantly fell for the presentation and the gold flakes floating around, Art Deco look, and I got this. Let me know your thoughts. Are you a fan? It's called Lune Feline. Mooncat. And then the extract version, I haven't spoken about it in a long time. The brand has 3 extracts. I think, well, 3 extracts of existing fragrances and 2 additional extracts that are brand spanking new. This is, I'm hoping that Rouge Saray will be converted into an extract, but this is Lune Feline Extrait de Parfum. It is a much more concentrated take. It's also darker even further. Look at the gold flakes. Yeah, to me, I think the medicinal quality has been amped up a bit. It's gotten muskier for me. It feels more balsamic ambery. Spice is also much more forward. And it's also higher concentrated. Either way, that is... The gold flakes in this one are just beautiful. Look at it. I think they've overfilled the gold flakes. I wonder if the extracts have more gold flakes. So that is the second Atelier des Ordes fragrance, which is actually a flanker to the original Lune Feline. That's Lune Feline Extrait de Parfum. And then the last fragrance in this category, we're going to go with Vanille Antique. Yeah, one of the best extracts from Byredo. In fact, Byredo just changed their bottles for their extracts, and now they come in 100 ml bottles as well. It's quite pricey. It's also boozy, very boozy. And there's musky touches in here. That's why I put this here. But it's quite dry and dusty. And it's almost like it's trying to be gourmand, but it can't quite make up its mind, so it doesn't want it won't. So that's what I kind of like about it. It's like trying to settle to some direction, but some things are pulling it away from going in that direction. So, but I like the booziness, the sweetness, the spiciness, the muskiness, of course, and the woods that are in here, because the dusty dryness is acting like dusty dry woods. It's a nice clash of syrupy vanilla, boozy vanilla with the dusty dry woods. That's Byredo's Vanille Antique. Are you a fan, guys? Let me know. Add a comment below. But I really love those fragrances in that category. Great set of fragrances. Now we're getting to a bit more of a spicy leather, oud-driven collection of fragrances. And of course here we've got both YSL's Babycat and Vanagloria. I had to have these here, created by Dominique Ropian. They're very similar fragrances. These are very spicy, saffron-forward vanilla fragrances. So they act leathery and smoky and peppery spicy. And maybe some mineral touches as well. So that's Vanagloria. So they're very, very close. There are minute differences between each other. To me, it smells like church incense with an overdose of syrupy vanilla with pepper spices. And then the leather kind of takes effect. They're very, very close, especially when you're doing them side by side. But I think it's definitely a really awesome DNA that they have created. Which is your favorite, Vanagloria or Babycat? Let me know. All right, we've got a fragrance from the house of Kayali. It's Oudgasm Vanilla Oud. We featured this in our Scent Club kit. We sold out so fast of that Scent Club kit. So once again, it's a darker take on a vanilla, which is kind of gourmand leaning. So the oud kind of darkens everything here, and it kind of tones down the gourmand qualities because KLE does a lot of gourmand fragrances, as you guys are aware. And this does kind of go in that direction because it does have a lot of vanilla and other gourmand-esque notes. It's got the vanilla sugar and praline, but it's got saffron and musk and things like that in their oud, of course. In the end, you're left with, I think it's an oud accord for sure. It's not animalic. It's just like an oudy woodiness. It's gourmand light, I would say, because there's a very creamy, almost custardy effect with the sweetness in here. They say vanilla sugar and praline. So that's KLE's Oudgasm Vanilla Oud 36. I'm throwing this fragrance in here as well. This is Van Cleef & Arpels Orchid Leather. Orchid for the vanilla orchid. That's what I'm assuming. Leather for the leather. It's Julienne Rasconet's creation. Super awesome, I think. It's plummy, it's boozy, sweet vanillic, dark leather. Kind of a little bit like lacquered woods as well. It's good, so good. Definitely a favorite of mine from Van Cleef & Arpels. They've never made an extract of this one or Parfum edition. I think they should. The booziness is so out of this world delicious, and I think it's created by the plum note in this. But it's sweet, it's vanillic, spicy, boozy, fruity, and of course leathery. You're looking for something dark, try that one. And then I'm going to end this category with another one that I just brought in. It might not totally fit, but I wanted to highlight it. It's somewhat dark, not quite. It's Nishane Ani. I mean, it's a spicy vanilla. So this is the spicy category. But it's quite bright, you know. It's got fresh spices like ginger and cardamom. It's got brightness from citruses and sandalwood woodiness in the base. So it's creamy, smooth. And then that vanilla is sweet and spicy and a bit boozy. It is really delicious. I kind of fell out of love with that a little bit, but recently, like last year or the year before, I kind of brought it out and smelled it, and it's so good. Definitely one of the best that Cecile has created. It's so yummy. Either way, not super dark, but somewhat because of the spices and the woods. So that is Nishane Ani. And that's the spicy, leathery, oud-driven category of dark vanilla fragrances. And then I've got several fragrances here that I'm going to end the list with. What I should say is I've got several fragrances here for the last category, which we'll end the video with. So I've got 4 Rosendo Mateu fragrances. So let's talk about them one by one. Of course, I have to throw in number 5. And that's the elixir. Let's see where the original is. Number 5, the original here. Yeah, it does remind of Babycat. It's kind of similar. Not similar notes, though. That's the thing. In the end, it's leathery, it's spicy, it's vanillic, sweet, powdery, dry, dusty. Not identical, similar smell. Definitely fitting into the dark vanilla category of fragrances. You a fan of number 5? And what about number 5, Elixir? By the way, I'm all out of strips. I'm using strips that I have from brands giving them to me. I've got strips on order. All right, so the next one is the number 5 Elixir. It's a darker, much more concentrated, thicker take on the original. But to me, it's a bit more resinous and ambery in comparison to the original. And I think the smoke has also been amplified. Super smoky. And I think this time we have leathery touches, because the saffron is pretty prominent. What do you think? Have you tried number 5 Elixir? And then we've got 2 more fragrances from the house, 2 completely different fragrances that do combine vanilla with darker notes. So it's Patchouli Oud Vanilla, and that's number 7. And then we've got Woods, Osmanthus, and Vanilla. Let's talk about number 7 first. Let me know if you're familiar with these 2 fragrances. I like the idea of combining patchouli and oud to vanilla. Yes, you got this kind of pulpy, syrupy vanilla in this one, but the patchouli is pretty standout. It doesn't smell like patchouli that I've smelled before. Maybe because they're combining it with the oud. It doesn't have those earthy elements that I like, but that doesn't say that I don't like this fragrance. I like the way it's created. The oud and the patchouli, I think, are nicely balanced with the vanilla. So you don't get too much oud, you get it, and then you don't get too much patchouli, but you get it with the overdose of the vanilla. So it tones down a lot of the vanillic touches. That's really good, actually. I had forgotten how great that is. So number 7 from the house of Rosendo Mateu. What's going on with the brand? It's been a while since I've heard from anything from them. But I think this is their latest fragrance, number 9. Number 9 is Wood, Osmanthus, and Vanilla. I kind of prefer number 7 more than number 9. Number 9 is a bit fruity because the Osmanthus creates that fruitiness and also adds a layer of leather. It's different, but almost like connected somehow. I think this one is a bit not as exciting as the previous one. I think number 7 is a bit better because it does have the patchouli, I think. But that doesn't mean that the number 9 is disappointing. It's just not as exciting. Have you guys tried number 7 and number 9 from Rosendo Mateu? Let me know your thoughts. Add a comment below. All right, up next, we've got one fragrance from the house of Gucci, Vanilla Firenze. It comes in a black bottle, as you can see, so darker fragrance. Who's a fan of the Gucci Alchemist Garden collection? This is, to me, dark and smoky. It's almost like a bit bright, but there's a cloud of darkness. Like, you know how when a storm is about to come and it kind of makes everything dark, but it's almost like building up to it. I feel like this is what's going on with the vanilla. Like, it's covered up with this like cover of darkness, but it hasn't fully developed yet. So it's a bit dusty, it's a bit powdery, slightly leather, but beneath it all, the vanilla is still there and it's shining, you know, it's there, but it's going to be like assaulted soon with this big storm kind of a thing. There's also a little bit of a pencil shavings effect happening. That's good, actually. That's one of the better ones from the brand lately. Vanilla Firenze from Gucci. And then, last but not least, we're going to end with Silky Woods Elixir from the House of Goldfield and Banks. So, I'm a fan of the original, but I didn't quite think it was very dark. I think there's some darkness in there, but I find it to be sticky, sugary, sweet caramel, caramelly, butterscotchy vanilla. This, on the other hand, is a night and day difference. It's like taking the vanilla into, I don't know, the depths of the earth and picking up woods and earthy notes and green notes and like smearing the vanilla into almost non-existence. Is that, I mean, I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but that's how I experienced this fragrance. Obsessed with the original. This one, I feel like there's a touch of the original here, but like I said, just dragged through everything that there's hardly any vanilla left. But the sweetness is there. The idea of the original is there, but there's a lot of other darker or notes that kind of mute the vanilla taking over. But either way, I think it fits perfectly here in the dark vanilla fragrances list. So Silky Woods Elixir. That is the last one, guys. What are your thoughts? Let me know if you have a favorite of the dark vanillas, and what did I not feature in the video? Like, there probably are a lot of other dark vanilla fragrances. Maybe I forgot, maybe I don't own them, so I don't own everything here. But do add a comment and let me know what's missing. What do you think about the fragrances? Do you like the idea of a dark vanilla fragrance, or do you prefer yours more gourmand, brighter, happier, fluffier, cakier, more dessert-like? Let me know. Add a comment below. Thanks so much for watching today's video. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, also please subscribe to the channel. Click that bell icon so it'll notify you of the next video. And don't forget to go and subscribe to my shorts channel as well. It's linked in the info box. And very soon, I'll start posting content there, shorts content. Only there, no longer shorts content here. And please, please, please give a thumbs up for this video. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.